Behind me, I have the brand new BMW i5 M60, and in a parallel universe, this could have been the new M5. In this video, I'm going to walk around the car, look at the design, and then take it out for a drive to see what I really think. Let's start this review by looking at the styling of the car. Now, overall, I do like this design. I do think it's an evolution of the G30. It's just slightly more edgy. The headlights. Now, when these DRLs first were shown as an LCI upgrade on the G80, I didn't like them. I didn't think it suited that particular shape of car. But I think it does suit this because the lines kind of follow through with that shape. BMW started off with the halos, then they went to the icon lights, and the icon lights are my favorite design of the DRLs. These new ones are going to start to take a little time to get used to, but overall I do like the shape of the headlight, and I think it is very BMW. As with most BMWs these days, I think they're using too much black on the bumpers, on the front and rear. These grills are slightly too big, I think, but it's probably because they don't have any definition on the electric car. They've obviously blanked a lot of these off to help with the aero, and it doesn't need the gaps through the grille to aid with any engine cooling. So I think if I was to do something with this car, I would probably body color that front part to give us a bit more definition, and on the side normally there would just be a black piece of trim here. That's probably unnecessary, but that's very small points. I think overall the front end looks very aggressive, and I actually do like it a lot. Moving over to the side of the car, the design is a lot more cohesive than the G82. If you saw my video on that, I was very concerned about how many swage lines it had cutting in everywhere across the surface, but this literally has one that follows all the way around and then integrates into the rear lights. These mirrors look very cool, and I think these are going to be the M mirrors on the G90 M5 because they've got a very different shape to the standard ones and they fold back round. Although the surface of the car is quite flat from this portion down here, it's still very smooth and it doesn't look like a House of Mirrors style reflection. It is actually quite flat. One important BMW design feature which they've kept is the Hofmeister kink, and I think that follows through with the theme of the car. Although it is very modern, I think if you took the badges off this car, you would be able to tell it's a BMW, which has been a criticism on some of the previous designs over the last few years. Although the car is very slab-sided, we feel the M5 version is going to be slightly more sculpted. So from the renders and some of the spy shots we've seen, it looks like it's going to be wider at the front and the rear. There are a few different wheel options on this car, and BMW normally get wheels very right, and this is no exception. It's quite busy, but it does suit the car. It's a bit similar to the CSL wheel, but slightly less detail, thicker spokes, and it has plastic trims in the middle here, which I assume are for aero for the electric models. Moving on to the rear of the car, this is a very tight considered design and very BMW-esque. My favorite feature are the tail lights. I think they flow really well with the design of the car, and if you saw these from a distance, I think you would know that it's a BMW. They've integrated a rear diffuser into this with some fins to add some aggression. Again, I think probably a bit too much black here, but they've been doing that on all the electric cars recently. But overall, I think this is a very nice car. Let's go take a look at the interior. The interior of this car is a very nice place to be. Overall, BMW done a great job of making this car look modern, but still feel premium, because a lot of the cars, when they're looking slightly futuristic, they look sparse and the quality seems to drop. This has the same familiar screen that the ID.8 has, but this is now at ID 8.5. And I know a lot of people prefer the traditional speedos, but we own the G82 with the ID.7, and we have two cars with the ID.8. And honestly, once you get used to them, you step back into the ID.7 and it does feel quite dated. The steering wheel is a massive step up from the previous generation design. It's the best design I've seen from BMW. It has lots of small details, and I love this sculpted bit in the middle. And one of my favorite features is this ambient lighting that runs throughout the front of the cabin. It's kind of a prism design and it's 3D. You can change the color to suit your mood. Carrying on with the premium theme, we have these crystalline iDrive volume and gear selectors, which we first saw in the M8. Overall, the design and the quality of this interior is a massive step up from the example, the F90 M5, and it feels more like a 7 Series than it does a 5 Series. At the beginning of this video, I did say that this could have been an M5 in a parallel universe, so let's get it out on the road and see how it drives. Let's start with the performance. It's very quick. 600 horsepower, does 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, and it has a boost paddle here, which if I click, basically gives me 10 seconds of extra performance, which you can really feel. And in terms of driving dynamics, I'm happy to report this is very much a BMW. It hides its weight really well. The car is quite heavy at 2,300 kgs, but the four-wheel drive steering system really helps it hustle these corners. The only downside, obviously, on a B road like this is its weight and size. So when you push on, you can really feel the weight, but it does manage it extremely well. BMW chassis engineers are very good at doing that. Very flat through the corners. It's fun to drive for such a big car, but most people who are buying one of these are really going to be buying it for the refinement, and I can let you guys know that this is basically a 7 Series in terms of ride quality and sound deadening. They've done an absolutely amazing job of that on this car. I have borrowed a few Bentleys over the last few years, including the brand new Flying Spur, and I would say this is probably slightly more comfortable than that. Having a fully electric drivetrain does help a lot with that, because you're not getting any kind of vibrations and noise through the engine, but they've done a really good job of the sound deadening and insulating you from any kind of road noise. The interior of this car is really nice, such a nice place to be. I've been driving the car the whole weekend, and I've been into London, got stuck in loads of traffic, and it was just a peaceful, calm place to be. I really love the ambient lighting with the 3D crystal effect. The upgraded sound system, the Bowers & Wilkins, it sounds really crisp, has a lot of bass. And the ID 8.5 is just a small evolution up from the ID 8. I've got really used to this setup now, where now in the G82 M4, that previous generation seems a little bit dated to me, and I'm not missing the analog speedos at all. But in terms of ride quality and comfort, this car is so nice. I have spent a bit of time in the 7 Series when I went to Cannes Film Festival with BMW. We were driven around in the new 7, and although this is not a back-to-back test, this is up there in terms of refinement in ride. Now, these cars are expensive. This is £100,000, but when you look at something like a Tesla Model S, which I drove recently just to get a bearing of what it's like compared to this is more comfortable than a Model S, and in terms of driving dynamics, there's no competition. That really does feel like a boat compared to this car. And I think when you see manufacturers like BMW coming forward and starting to make EVs, they're going to start bridging the gap with Tesla quite quickly, because they just know how to make a car drive really well and provide that level of excitement that we're used to. But in terms of the i5, ride comfort, handling, just a really nice place to be. I can see this car doing extremely well. Every time BMW launch a new model, they do really push the bar even further up. And if this is anything to go by, I'm really looking forward to the brand new M5 based on this platform. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please remember to subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on. If you want to join the conversation, please drop us a comment below and we will do our best to respond to you. And if you're running out of things to watch, why don't you watch one of these two?